4,000 subscribers. Absolutely awesome, guys. Absolutely awesome. Zeus, the god, has sent down his thunderbolts. He's arrived to answer your questions, and boy, have I had a lot of questions. So we're going to try and get through these as well, not as quickly as possible, but try and give you the answers as quickly as possible, and not to drag it out too far. But there we go. And first of all, a thank you to all of you that have subscribed to me up until now, that have backed me up, that have been behind me, that have checked out my content. And yeah, you're all brilliant. You're all awesome. And I'm not going to single too many people out, because I don't want to leave people out, and you feel a bit neglected. That ain't the case. All 4,000 of you, thank you very fucking much. Big time. Yeah, I just it's hard to actually get it around your head when you're a reasonable sized channel. You started off with nothing and built up, and it took ages. It took ages before the word got around, or your name got around, or people would pass the channel. Hey, check this channel out. You might be interested in this. It's all Unemulated, so check it out. And if you want to remember games the way they used to be, this channel might really be right appeal to you. And that's how it's built up. So yeah, I mean, I'm on my way to 10,000. That's my goal. So we're almost halfway there now. But it seems so quick again since the last 1,000. Really revving up. I'm over the moon with it. And I always try to reply to all of you in the comments, just to show you that I'm grateful that you've subbed to me, and I'm hearing you, and whatever questions you send to me, I try to answer them. So it's nice to have that rapport with you. And yeah, what I said, I could single everyone out and thank everybody, but there's so many of you. I've had people donate me stuff, have made contributions to my channel as far as finances go. Well, one person in particular, and you know who you are, mate. I'm not going to embarrass you, but my God, you changed my YouTube life with those dedications you sent to me. Shockingly, I can't even think of the words I'm trying to say. It's surprised is what I could say. This fella donated 2 or 3 times some very thoughtful payments to me. And also, in fact, he also bought me my 6128, my Amstrad, which I didn't really want. I didn't really want to buy an Amstrad machine, but I was having requests about doing certain games, so I did it. And I thought, how am I going to do this without it going emulated? And I was umming and ahhing it, and thanks to my guy repairer in Wales, who looks after all my machines, he came up with a 6128 Amstrad, which is 30 years old, but it was immaculate condition. The only a couple of light scrazes on the metal plate on the right hand side of that machine, just above that rests on the disk drive. Apart from that, it looks like you just got out of the box. But I still wasn't sure about wanting it, and this chap said, "Sod it." I'm not going to say a word what he said, because some of you might be offended. He is not the greatest Amstrad fan, and I ain't either. But And he said, "Look, here's the money. Treat yourself to it. Buy it if you have to." And again, absolutely shocked. So thank you, pal. You've really, really made a difference to me, big time. And I like to call you a good friend. So and I hope you're doing all right. The rest of you donated things like leads to me that I've needed, SCART leads, composite leads. Some of you, or one of you especially, burnt a lot of my Amiga discs for me, because I'm not capable of doing that, and given me advice. So many of you, and one of you, again, you know who you are out there, has kindly went towards my SD card for my C64 machine, a little device you can load your games in with it. Thank you again, pal. And he's been fantastic as far as, before that machine, I had to rely on pokes, action replay pokes, and a lot of the pokes I needed were never there, and he always managed to create them. He's fucking fantastic. Brilliant bloke. Another guy, I will say, NC5110, was it 510 or something like that, on the C64 forums. Thank you very much, pal. This guy has done amazing things as far as my Atari 8-bit games go. There's been many times I need cheats for my Atari 8-bit games for my 800XL, and they're not available. They just don't exist. There isn't a cheat cartridge for it. You know, if there is, I can't afford it. And he's managed to get the ROM and manipulate it, and then send it back to me in another file, where it's then converted into a WAV file. I play that into my 800XL via the cassette, and I've got infinite lives or invincibility. It's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. So thank you again, pal. Really, that's been incredible. Thanks for you. I've been managing to do some long plays on my Atari. So that's about it. That's all the thank yous. Because I said I could be going on all day about it, and we've got a big Q&A section coming up, which is what I'm going to tackle now. So let's get on with that. Once again, thank all of you. Awesome, 4,000 subs, fantastic. But let's get on with the Q&A, as I've got a lot to get through. And right, first question, and there's quite a few. So we've got 6 questions here by Catechist. Hello, mate. First question: if you get to your next milestone, listeners, if you get to your next milestone, whatever that is, I'm looking for 10,000, but I assume you're meaning 5,000. Do you have any plans to show your ugly mug? Speaking of that, I'm just going to take a sip of coffee out of my mug. Do I plan to show you? How dare you say that to a god? I should send a lightning bolt your way, pal. Well, I never planned to do commentary, believe it or not. I did my first one, which was Jinx on the Amiga. Check that out, my very first one. You'll see I'm a lot slower back then. I was nervous, but I got such a great comeback, comments from it, support. You know, said it sounded like I've been doing it for a while, but I hadn't. But going to the next level, showing my face. Now, the reason I did it is because I've spoken to my wife about this some time ago. And she's very protective in this world on the computers and that. Like Google, they fucking seem to want to know everything about you. You can't. There's always some out there they know. Once you're on Facebook, which I'm not, you're out there forever. And I don't like the idea of that either. There's too much of a Big Brother world in this world at the moment, with cameras every left, right, and centre, and watching what you do. You can't even you can't even break wind without anyone getting any fucking notifications of it. So I don't know. I mean, I've agreed not to film anything around the house, which I wanted to do a video where I was requested, how do I record footage from my original hardware. I could still do that because I can aim it at the machines. I'm not going to aim the house. But yeah, she doesn't want any filming in the house. She doesn't want to be, when she plays games with me, she doesn't want her herself on commentary. She's very protective like that. And I've come to that sort of sense as well. And I know now it's like, fuck it, everyone knows everything about everyone nowadays. Well, why not just go with it? And it might happen. It might one day I might just wake up and think, fuck it, let's do it. It certainly isn't ugly, I'm afraid, you know. So yeah, it's certainly not ugly. Maybe if it interacts with my users more, my subs, then possibly, yeah. 2, are you planning to cover games for any other systems that you haven't covered before? i.e. PG, PC Engine, BBC Micro, Oric, Apple II, VIC-20, etc. No. I've got in my possession 2 ZX Spectrum 128K plus 1s, that's a toast rack. I've got a 6128 Amstrad, I've got a Commodore 664 and C64C. I've got a Mega Drive with an EverDrive device, so I can play any game there ever was released on it. I've got a PS3, but I only use that for the Wipeout HD and Fury, because that's a fantastic game. PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. My PlayStation 1 is modded, so I can play foreign games on that. What else? An Atari ST, which is retired in the attic, and of course my Amiga A500. Oh, awesome machine. But that's it. I don't plan to buy anything else. I've got a couple of things for the PC Engine to upload. If you ever see anything like that on my channel, it's because I was lent the machine very temporary, like the SNES. I got a few SNES long plays on there, but I don't own the machine. I was lent it. So if you see any videos like that, it's because I've had the machine lent to me. But no, I don't plan anymore. 3, what do you think of the next generation Amiga machines equipped with Power PC processor? I haven't got a bloody clue, mate, because I don't know what it is. Is there such a thing, or are you just saying if there was to be one? I don't know. I can't answer that, I'm afraid. It would have been interesting if Mega didn't go bankrupt and see if what PCs they would have had out nowadays. That would have been interesting. But no, sorry, I can't answer that, pal. Oh, here's a good one. Whatever happened to your Angry Moni channel? Did you stop uploading videos on there due to lack of time, or did you get pissed off that you didn't get the number of subscribers you were expecting? I never get angry as far as not getting enough subs. I've had a few downs where I've sort of felt like I'm not getting anywhere, and on my Zeusdaz channel, and I've had a lot of support. But the reason I stopped doing it, or let's go back, the reason I started doing it is because I do vent a lot. There's a lot of things in this life that really piss me off. Silly little things which other people just brush off, but they niggle me. They fucking irritate me. So it's not fair the wife has to keep listening to it. So I thought, I'll find another channel to vent it out. I've got to vent it out. And then, you know, I've when I've been taking my dog for a walk, you know, God knows what anyone's thinking. Sometimes I'm grumbling and you think I'm having an argument with myself, and I don't realise I'm doing it. I'm thinking, shit. It's, you know, by the time I'm fucking 70 or 80, if I get that far, I hope I'm not going to be even worse. So, no, I needed something to vent it out on. But as time went on, I did a couple of videos on it. One was people that press traffic lights for no reason. There's not a fucking car on the road, stopping the likes of me, the only car on the road, just to let that prat walk across the road. Millions of traffic cones sitting there doing fucking nothing. I mean, I know the cones are, but the workers aren't doing fucking nothing. The cones have been sat there for weeks doing nothing. Intense flashing lights on bicycles that would give anyone an epileptic fit. Keep your fucking lights off on the flash mode. Put it on, just on. Stupid on, off, stupid bloody... That should be illegal. So you see where I'm going. I'm getting vented now. And I felt that every time I did one, I had to calm down. You get your blood pressure up. So it wasn't becoming healthy. So that's the reason why I terminated the channel. No, there won't be any more on there. Who wants to tune in to keep hearing person venting all the time? Doesn't make your day happy, does it? Right. Do you have any kids, or did you and your wife agree to remain kidless? Very personal question there. As you know, I am married. Wait, I don't know if you are, but any other videos I've made would tell you that I was married. Still am, of course. But I'm not going to say whether I've got kids or not. Again, I've promised my wife she doesn't want to promote any of that kind of thing of our family. Our family, you know, the house is our sacred place, you know what I mean? It's our shut off from the real world, and we want to keep things, certain things quiet. We don't want to share certain things. So, no, so I can't answer that one, mate, I'm afraid. So I might have, I might not have. And the last question from Catechis is, do you ever use your vintage machines for programming? If so, what languages do you use, and how many programs did you make so far? Ooh, sip of coffee time. No, I don't. In fact, you know, the only times I ever typed out stuff was either trying to type these huge programs out. You find them in the old Sinclair user magazines and your Sinclair, where you have cheats. You have to type in a big cheat program to get infinite lives. That's if you didn't have a multi-face, which I didn't back in the day because I was a kid and I couldn't afford one. So I had to type out these long programs with data, poke and data and all this stuff on the Spectrum. Apart from that, no. The keyboards, all the keyboards on my computers are just there for show, or in the 8-bit, like the Spectrum, I like to play quite a few of my games with keyboard, so redefinable keys. So no, programming-wise, I haven't, mate. Sorry, no, I never have. All right, that's from Catechist. Thank you very much for that. Let's move up. This is in date order, by the way, so I'm starting off with the oldest. Congratulations, I really recently discovered your channel and love it. Oh, thank you very much. That's from Dave 4 Shmups. Hey, congrats from Gavin Downs. Or Downs, I do apologise if I haven't pronounced that correctly. Alex Z, congratulations. I love Amiga. Don't we all, pal? If you got any sense, you would love Amiga. Questions from Hawthorne Bunny. I pronounce unemulated like unemulated, but you always pronounce it unemulated. Is that a regional dialect thing? No, it's just, well, it could be. Depends if you're up north. Yeah. or down in Cornwall, you know, or boy, or Welsh. It could, you know, it don't matter. Cockney wanker, you could be a Londoner, but no, it's just I just do it fast. Unemulated. I could say unemulated, but I just say unemulated. It's easier. There you go. 2. Are you interested in speedrunning? Have you ever tried to speedrun a game? Interesting. No, I haven't, but unintentionally, apparently I have. Apparently, I hold the record, the world record on YouTube for the fastest speed run of Bruce Lee on the ZX Spectrum. I had no idea. And if that was the case, I could do it even faster than that because I was prattling around in it a couple of times. I could speed run Barbarian 2 on the Amiga. Street Fighter 1 in the arcade, yeah, I can blitz that. I remember being a kid in the day when nobody knew how to do the special moves. I was just going through it, and once you learn the Dragon Punch move by heart, yeah. No, in fact, I might think about that actually, because doing an 8-bit challenge video with Novabug, we haven't done a speed run thing. Yeah, it's interesting now. It'd be a bit tricky for me because I'm doing everything unemulated, you know. So putting a timer up could be tricky, but no, I could be. Depends, you know, if the game's good enough. If anybody wants me to try it, I could do it. Number 3, did you read Amiga magazines back in the 90s? If so, what your favourite? No, I didn't in the 90s. I bought them most in the late 80s. And Amiga Action was my favourite and the one. Amiga Action was coming off the back of ST Action. I did like ST Action magazine when I had an ST. But when I sold my magazine, my ST at the time, I got an Amiga, I went to Amiga Action because I just loved the glossy magazine. And if any of you got those editions, Amiga Action, if you got issue 7, have a look in there under the questions section. I sent a letter in there asking about certain 8-bit games if they'd be converted. Thankfully, they wasn't, because usually the case is a classic on the 8-bit tends to be disastrous on the 16-bit. So there you go. Thanks for your questions, Hawthorne Bunny. I hope that's pleased you. Right. Next, CRL Group. Oh, one of my old subs. A question I've asked a million times now. When will you do a shit game time of Top Banana on Amiga? Come on, bruv. I know that this will give you 95 plus shits for sure. Go for it. Well, it's done, isn't it? I recently done it about a week ago. And yes, if you want to look at that, I won't say what it is because some of you might not have even watched it. How many shits it got at the end. There's a shitometer rating at the end where I shit rate bad games. And so, yes, I've done it now, haven't I, pal? So I hope you enjoyed that. And by the looks of your comments, you certainly did. So there we go. Top Banana is now in the shit game time section. Camille's, congratulations, mate. Next stop, 5,000. Well, let's hope so, pretty quickly. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's it. That's all he said. Congratulations, mate. Next up, thank you very much. Camille's brilliant. Lovely. Thank you. Paddy O'Connor. Awesome channel, mate. A few questions for you. 1. I was always a sucker for cool box art as a kid. What game for you enticed you to buy it through the artwork and how it was presented, even if the game was shit? Oh, no, I didn't. I bought my fair share of originals on my Spectrum and mostly on my Spectrum. I loved collecting original games on my Spectrum at the time. I didn't like the compilation versions. I didn't collect the budget versions. I collected the original release versions, which I still have to this day. No, I'll tell you what. No, that's a lie. Back in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, I used to go to the Sunday market where there's loads of stores, man. You don't get many Sunday markets now. But there was lots of stores. And I remember there was this section with these games where people bring them in, sell them and whatever. But there was loads of games for 99p and 1.99. You know, the budget ones. And some of those covers look really good. So yeah, you thought you got a couple of quid. You don't want to get another game. Sod it. Let's buy that one and take the risk. They often turn out to be crap. And but there was one I remember I bought called Paws, and I loved the cover on it because it had this wolf coming down an alley, sort of like a vicious dog. And the game is you're a cat and you've got to save your litter. And being not a cat lover and a huge dog lover, it went totally against my senses, that game. And I still own it to this day. I've long played it on my channel, and the programmer got in touch. He's made a few comments on that as well, so check that out. But I remember buying that, and I didn't like the game at the time. And I don't really get on with it now. But no, Chaos Engine on Amiga. It's a beautiful box, and it's a stunning game. So no, I haven't gone out my way to buy just for the cover art. No, I haven't. Number two, what was your favourite software house back in the day, and name three games and what platform they were on? Keep up the good work. Loving the shit game times. Thank you. I try and keep the shit game times coming, all depending if all of you still want them to come up. Software house. Well, no doubt about it, it was Ocean. Ocean stroke Imagine. They were on a roll from 85 to about 89. They did so many classes. Yeah, they coughed up a few ducks, but they did, compared to US Gold, fucking hell, they were the top. I had so much respect for them. They'd come up with some great games. A lot of the games they actually made some bloody effort in. But my favourite games for them, I loved the Renegade and Target Renegade on the Spectrum 128. I think they were stunning versions, just brilliant. And there's been a mod of Renegade 1 and 2 now, new backgrounds, which has been brilliant. That was done via Homebrew. So it's kind of like 4 Renegade games, really. You had Operation Wolf and Thunderbolt, and you had Combat School. And Imagine, as far as Imagine goes, before Ocean, they did BC Bill. That was one of my favourite games. And Chase HQ, who can forget that? Who can forget that conversion on the Spectrum and Amstrad? Brilliant. So Ocean were my favourite games, and I like Target Renegade on the C64 mainly because of the soundtrack. Incredible soundtrack on that game, it's brilliant. But yeah, for Ocean it would be Renegade, Target Renegade, and I can't think of a third one off the top of my head, so we'd just go for Combat School. 3 great conversions. Thank you very much for your questions, mate. Okay, Ray C. Here's a question from Ray C. Looking back, do you think your other channel was worthwhile? No, I just touched up on that, didn't I? That was the Angry Moni channel. And of course I've subscribed. How could you possibly doubt me? Okay, just checking. Like I say. It was at the time. I just had a dream of it, and I thought that'd be good. That'd be interesting. Venting people's I know there's a lot of people that feel for me in these areas. I know there's a lot of people that agree with me. Being cold called on telephones, and you pick it up and there's an answer machine. And when are the days that you can pick up the phone knowing it's going to be someone you know? Now most of the time it's cold callers or endless crap coming through your letterbox. Yeah, it was good at the time, but after doing 2 or 3 of them, I realised that I'm still spending an hour after it calming down. So no, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the while at the end. James Stanger, question from James Stanger. Do you think the UK will ever produce gaming computer hardware such as we witnessed in the mid-80s with Acorn, Amstrad and Sinclair? Sadly, no. We've gone way past that. That's why it's called retro. That's why it's called memories. It had its moment in time. But no, we won't live through that now. The games have got so beyond movie quality, they don't feel like games anymore. So no, we won't live those magical times anymore. I'm very sad to say. The only thing that keep it going is those guys on the forums that will still keep bringing out the homebrew versions of redone games like Commodore 64. There was Ghosts and Goblins. I thought it was brilliant when it came out, even though it was only 3 levels. But the music was great. It was so playable. But it's been homebrewed a couple of years ago, where it really looks like the arcade. Very cleverly done. So, and certain Spectrum games have been recoloured, through homebrew. So, yeah. Apart from that, no. Sadly, it will never repeat that. A bit like the 80s music. That's my favourite of all. What is my favourite music of the 80s? All of it. Well, not all of it, but it's my favourite decade of music. I thought music then, especially the one-hit wonders, they all sounded different. They all had soul, and they all just sounded good. So. Anyway, thank you very much for that, mate. Next question is by BS Zilly. I hope that's how you do it. Is there any Amiga conversion everybody seems to like, but you find is horrible, and vice versa? Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Is there a game that I like and everybody else thinks is horrible? I wouldn't know. Or is there a game that everyone raves about that I don't like? I mean, I don't like there's certain games I don't like. I don't like Populous. I don't like Monkey Island. I don't like games like that. I don't like adventures types of stuff. but it doesn't mean they've got great graphics and great sound and stuff like that. I can't answer that, mate, I'm afraid. The only way I know if there's games that I really like and people don't is when they leave comments on those videos on my channel. That's all I can say about that, mate. Yeah, sorry. Next question by Ash. 81B4U. Ash, mate. Here's a guy who lent me so many PS2 games, trusted me, and PS1 games, original discs, sent them to me, and I'm a stranger. And he trusted me to do that, and I appreciate that very much. That's a lot of my PS1 and 2 long plays are because of him. Right. Let's see. Well, you're right. It's a wonderful time to be a teenager. Impressive milestone, mate. Number 1. Name 3 16-bit games you would like to have seen on the Amiga that never made it to the Great Machine. 8-bit games I'd like to see on Amiga. Okay, let me just get my head around that. I see. Name 3 16-bit games you would like to have seen on Amiga from other machines like SNES and... Well, it'd been interesting to see what Streets of Rage would have looked like. Streets of Rage 2 on the Amiga. That would have been interesting. SNES... I don't really, because I never really liked the SNES. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the look of it. The machine itself, it was clunky. It looked like it was made for a 4-year-old. It was dull. It was grey. Didn't really like this music chip in it. So I don't know many SNES games. I know there was it was Unirally. That'd been interesting on Amiga. I don't know if it would have handled that speed. I'm not sure. PC Engine. PC Engine. Again, I don't know. I don't know what original games were on there. A lot of them were conversions. That's tricky, mate. Yeah, that's tricky. Definitely Unirally and Streets of Rage 2. Possibly... Just trying to quickly think of a third one. Possibly... No, maybe R-Type 3 then, on the SNES. Because that was exclusive, wasn't it? 2. Let's see, Amiga. Sorry, mate. I'm trying to read this. 3 Amiga games that should have had sequels on that system. 16-bit, bloody hell. Definitely Chaos Engine 3, because Chaos Engine 2 made no sense at the end. It was like a story that hadn't been finished. So it should be Chaos Engine 3. Barbarian 3. The follow-up to Barbarian 2 Dungeon of Drax. I was so pissed off there was never a third one. Because I like that game. And he says right at the end, Drax, I shall return and then it will be you who will die. But he never returned. And if he was to return, it has to be in a 16-bit graphic style. I couldn't bear to see it on a PS4 in flashy, up-to-date graphics. It wouldn't be the same. And any others? Sequel. So you could say sequel of a sequel. I'd like to have seen a sequel to Battle Squadron, which is basically Hybris 2. I'd like to have seen a sequel to Sword of Sodan. And maybe The Plague. So there's a few, mate. There's a few. If you could have 3 albums to keep, what would they be? 3 music albums. Oh, well, it would be... Christ, there's a lot. You might laugh at me for a couple of these, I don't know, but... There's 3 albums of Pink Floyd I love. That's The Wall, Wish You Were Here, and Dark Side of the Moon. So there's your 3. Duran Duran's Rio album, I love that. There's some great songs. My favourite song on that is The Chauffeur. I don't know, there's so many. You got Nirvana, Nevermind, that's a great album. Metallica's Black Album. There's so many. But the trouble is, there's a lot of groups of the 80s I like, where there's 1 or 2 songs I like on different albums, and it becomes a compilation. So I tend to make my own compilations, but yeah, that's all I can say about that, mate. Number 4. Would you rather be stuck in a room with Hulk Hogan, Doc Cotton, a rattlesnake, Ant and Dec, or a loaded gun? Well, definitely not fucking Ant and Dec, and definitely not Doc Cotton. A rattlesnake. Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? A rattlesnake. Depending if he could talk and he wasn't poisonous. Might have some good conversations. Hulk Hogan. I don't know. I don't know if I could handle someone saying brother at me all the time. I don't know. I'd like to ask him a couple of questions though, but I never get to. Like 1991 Survivor Series, if you ever watch the old WWF, when Undertaker pinned Hogan, and I was jumping around the living room like some fucking kid that's had Christmases all in one go. You know, all of his Christmases. I was over the moon because I liked Hogan, but I really liked the original Undertaker persona. And I thought, here we go, typical good man, bad guy. The good guy's going to beat the bad guy like usual. Zeus, yeah, me. But Zeus, the wrestler that came out a year before, he was impervious to pain. Suddenly, he just wobbled like crazy, and Hogan pinned him. So oh, here we go again. But when he actually got pinned by Taker, that was a shock. That was like the pin heard around the world. And then he was dropped the title 6 days later back to Hogan. I'd like to know what the deal was about that. What was the point of dropping it to Undertaker just for 6 days? And you know, why did he suddenly want to accept to do a job, especially on a bad guy? That'd be about it. So apart from that, if they was all gave me, then it would be a loaded gun if I was locked in a room, wouldn't it? Obviously. Just make sure you give me enough bullets in case I get it wrong. Right, there you go, mate. Thanks very much for your questions. That's Ash81 before you. Next question. Neon Sunlit Echoes ask, if the Greek god Zeus, that's me, asks you for the least annoying game to play, what would it be? Why would I ask myself that? The least annoying game, give me Chaos Engine on Amiga. You can't be better than that. Jonas, hey Jonas, how you doing, pal? Right, I don't know if he's got anything here. I'll just read what he says. So many questions towards your channel and subscribers, and your face has been asked. All these things, blah blah blah. There's not much for me to ask, but sorry, I'm just scanning this. Oh, I did not click the sub button for any of those reasons. At least I don't think so. I just looked up C64 games on YouTube one night. This is how he subscribed to me. I pressed the first video and it came up with something that seemed very interesting. It was your Rambo C64 music video, and it rocked. It was awesome and gave me everything I wanted in the nostalgia department. So that's why he subbed to me. Well, after many videos, I started commenting. I've been looking at my comments on your channel since you posted your almost 4,000 subs video, and realised that I've been watching your work for many years now. Just when you started, when you struggled a little and you wanted to shut down your channel, yeah, that was a bad time. I was very depressed, and yeah, but we didn't in the end, did we? We kept the channel going because of negative feedback, because your subs didn't realise what they had. When you had hardships, the subs were allowed and finally showed you support. Yes, you all did, and I said that, and I thank you very much for that. It's been quite a ride. I guess my question is, did you ever imagine that your uploads would lead to where you are now? How has it just changed your life having a YouTube channel? Before this, I'm a snooker player. I have that as a hobby, but I didn't really have a hobby. And yeah, I just woke up one morning thinking, why don't I do something unemulated? Everyone's uploading stuff emulated. It's so pixelated, it's annoying, and it don't sound right. So that's when I thought, I've got all the stuff, I've got all the games, let's start it. Let's see what happens. It doesn't hurt, does it? If it doesn't take off, sod it, I won't do it anymore. But it did, and here we are, 4,000 subscribers and counting. So yeah, it has changed my life. And without going into it too much, mate, on a personal note, Jonas, you have also had a big effect on that. So I thank you dearly for it. I really do. Yeah, I'm forever grateful for everyone's comments as well and support. So yeah, the channel should still keep on going as long as there's enough interest in it. Yeah, so yeah, that's about it really. So thank you very much, Jonas, for that. Next question, Park Productions Games. Are there any machines that give you a great amount of hassle or trouble when capturing game footage? Good question, mate. And I'd just like to thank you. This is the guy who actually redesigned my Shit Game Time Zeus logo and my Let's Plays. Yeah, and gave me certain cheats for his certain games, you know, to test. So yeah, he's done me some good favours there. So thank you very much for that, pal. As I said, are there any machines that give you a great amount of hassle or trouble? Not really. As long as I've got the right leads for it. They're recorded either via SCART lead or composite leads. and they go into the same machine that's recording them. I have a Sony HD hard drive DVD recorder. RDR 710 is the actual model number of it, and I record on the hard drive and edit and then double the disc and then upload them. So no, once it's just obviously a bit more hassle getting the machines out and, you know, turning them on and putting the leads in, but no, they're all the same, mate. They're all the same. Okay, best emulators by the Sammy M333. Do you own arcade machines? Can you make a room tour, console blown? There's a lot of questions there. Well, let's answer one at a time, shall we? Right, best emulators, top 5. Well, I don't use emulators, mate, so I don't really know. My Spectrum emulator I use for when I'm travelling around is I use WinTZX. Is it WinTZX? No, sorry, what am I on about? SpecEmu I use. And the only other emulator I use is an Amstrad one called WinApe. Is it WinApe? Something like that. So I don't really know emulators, mate. I'm not into them. That's not my style, I'm afraid. Do you own any arcade machines? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There's a picture of it from the front. Now, I used to own a lot of PCBs for that machine. It's a jammer machine, and it's still with me now. Obviously, in the corner of my room. That was when it was in a different room. I'm in a house, and I've got my own house now, so it's not where it was. And that's Street Fighter 1, the arcade board, the actual original Street Fighter 1 there. And let's have a look at it from a slightly different angle. There you go. I got that back in about 1991. And the reason I got that is because I was so gutted the way Street Fighter 1 was converted. I hated it. It was my favourite game. And if you wasn't born around that time, if you've only got emulators to go on to remember what that game was like or how it run or how it sounded, then you're being misinformed. Or you was old enough but you just couldn't play it back in the day. You didn't know how to play it, so it's shit. But that beat 'em up game was a breakthrough at the time. We'd not seen anything like that with characters that huge, that moved that quickly. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I remember when they wheeled it into the arcade, all these buttons. I was like, fuck's sake, I'm never going to learn that. I'm too scared to, but I did eventually, and I became the best there, to the point I just completed it one-handed. And I vowed to get it myself and put a big middle finger up to THX, who did the converting, and there it is, and I've still got it. I've got 3 original arcade boards of the Street Fighter 1. So yes, and I used to own a lot. I've still got Double Dragon 1, Double Dragon 2, but back in the day, and I had so many. I had all the Street Fighter 2s. I don't know why, I never really liked Street Fighter 2. I had Street Fighter 3. I even had Killer Instinct, but they were very dodgy boards. They failed a lot, so I got rid of it pretty quickly. Rambo 3, Commando. I had so many, but now I'm down to about 3 games. So that's all I have now. Next question. Can you make a room tour? Sadly, no, because as I said earlier, my wife doesn't want anything filmed in the house and put online. That's just the way it is, mate. So sadly, no. Console with best soundtracks. The best soundtrack for me is the Mega Drive on Streets of Rage 1 and 2. Stunning soundtracks, absolutely incredible soundtracks. In fact, there's Skeleton Crew as well on the Mega Drive. That's got a great soundtrack. Gauntlet 4, that's got a great soundtrack on the Mega Drive. It's mostly the Mega Drive for me. Best PC Engine game. I never owned a PC Engine game, but Outrun was okay on it. Had the best version of Street Fighter 1 on it, even though it was a bit slow and a bit rough looking. Had some cracking versions of R-Type, I've been told, but I never played them. So I don't quite know, mate, because I never really owned one of those machines. All right. Thanks very much for those questions, mate. Next, from Get Drinking. Oh, dear. Channel is called Zeusdaz. You are Zeus. So where is Daz? Well, Zeus was just a name I plucked up on the air. That was a name that I used for when I was doing Amiga piracy. Well, I can say that now. It's years ago. No one cares about that. I did Amiga piracy. and everyone used their contact names in fear of not knowing, please getting to know your real name. So I just chose Zeus. It just looked good and sounded good, and somebody, to the point someone even designed my logo. It just looked good. And Daz, well, that's my name, Darren. It's short for Darren, Daz. So, but if you type Zeus or Daz into any search engine, you'll come up with shitloads of stuff. And I thought, well, I want something where you, no matter what search engine you type it in, if you type a certain word in, it will come straight up with my channel. So I put Zeusdaz together. And try it yourself. You type Zeusdaz in any search engine, it will come straight up with my channel. So that's the answer to that, mate. Right. Okay. Baby Bahamat. Sorry if I haven't pronounced that right. Have I got to say that fast? Baby Bahamat. Whatever. Baby Bahamat. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Anyway, it's got 4 questions for me. Were you ever involved in the demo scene? No, I wasn't. I collected plenty of demos because some of the Amiga demos were fantastic. They really were. And if you could go back in time, you know, and show some of these demos to the programmers back in the day of when the machines first came out, I think they'd be shocked. So no. Number 2, favorite demos on any machine. My favorite demo is Desert Dream on the Amiga 500. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Now, if I could go back in time with those 2 discs and slap it into the Amiga back in 1985, 86, 87, where the powers be that own that machine were playing a bouncy ball demo just to sell their machine, I slap that in, I don't think they'd believe their eyes. I'd turn around and say, you really want to see how powerful your machine and what it can really do? Check this demo out called Desert Dream. I don't think they'd know what to say. The look on their face would be a million words. Tea or coffee? Mostly coffee. Decaf. Used to be heavily into caffeinated, but it kept giving me headaches and getting me agitated, so now it's decaf. Nescafe Gold, to be precise. But I do like tea too. Does Mrs. Zeus have any interest in your home computers? Would you ever do a collab video together? Yeah. No, well, we've done videos together, but no, you don't hear us speak and you don't see us. And before any of you get cheeky, yeah, I bet you're really hideous. No, we're incredibly handsome, and that's all there is to it. There is. Trust me on that. And she's gorgeous. She really is in every way. I'm very lucky, so I wouldn't trade her in for anyone at all. No, because like I said, she doesn't want her appearance to be out on there. She's very dismissive of Google and YouTube and all that kind of thing, as far as selling your images and photocopying them onto other pieces, you know, robbing your identity. So she give them as least chance as possible. So no, you won't see us talking and having a laugh together. Anybody else? Yeah, me and a mate. I don't mind that sort of thing. So there we go. Thanks very much for your questions, mate. Next question. No need to say that you run an awesome channel, Zeus. Oh, thank you. Some questions from me. This is from 80s Epic Metal Nerd. Wow, I love 80s and I love heavy metal, so we're going to get on just great. Read more. Number 1, do you listen to Motorhead? Fucking damn right I do. Motorhead, oh man, Ace of Spades, you can forget that. Hoochie Goochie Man, which was on one of their anthology albums. They got that deep, heavy sound. Good old Lemmy, yeah. And he appeared on one of my favourite Young Ones episodes, Bambi. So yes, I do listen to Motorhead, not all the time, but I do like heavy metal, rock, that kind of thing. Number 2, did Specky Games help you overcome an emotionally difficult phase of your life? Did they? Did Specky Games help you overcome an emotionally difficult phase of your life? What, you mean my intense wanking and flatulence issues? No, I don't think so. No, I didn't have any emotionally difficult phases. I was all right. I was a normal, regular kid. You know, a normal kid at the time. Picked my nose and fired. You know, that's the way it is, and love playing video games. So there you go. Will you ever visit Mount Olympus? Well, didn't I build it? I built it, didn't I? Or did I tell them to build it for me? No, I didn't like the extension they did on it. I was a bit angry. I kept getting all my slaves to carry on building it, but in the end I wasn't happy with it. I didn't like the paint job. On it, so I knocked it on the head. It's just rotting away now. Number 4, what is your favourite Blackadder character? How do you know I was into Blackadder? But you're right. I think Blackadder's brilliant. My favourite Blackadder character. Well, outside the main trio of Blackadder and Baldrick and the other guy. It has to be, because I'm a huge alternative comedy fan, it has to be the second version of Rick Mayall's Lord Flashheart, that in series 4. That was way over the top. And I'll never forget that bit where he said, always treat your kite like you treat your woman. And Matey Boy goes, what do you mean, take him home every weekend to meet your mother? And he says, no, get inside her 5 times a day and take it to heaven and back. Oh, that was fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm sure Ben Elton had some writing in on that. Yeah, so it has probably Lord Flashheart. He's way over the top character. Very funny. What was your favourite food as a kid, cooked by your mum? I can tell you're American because you're saying mom, don't you? Why don't Americans like the letter U? You never do use never use the letter U much, do you? You don't like it. It's always O. Can you think of any quicker? I suppose that's without a U in it. What was your favourite food as a kid? You've changed, don't you, your food things? I mean, every kid loves fish, sausages and chips and things like that. And as they got older, she used to make lovely minced dinners, mashed potatoes, stuff like that. But the best dinner she ever did was a Sunday roast. Oh God, it was lovely. The thick gravy, the roasty roasts, the crunchy roast, the onion sauce. Oh no, you're getting my mouth watered now. But I've learned to do it myself, so I'm going to do that now this Sunday. Thank you very much. I'm going to do that. Yep, that's the dinner for this Sunday. What is the most memorable quote you've heard over the past years, and would you repeat to yourself more often? Okay, that's all for me now. Next one's for the 5,000 vid. Most memorable quote you've heard over the past years. Yeah, here's one. Never, ever, ever bloody anything ever. I've lived my life by that rule. And you're probably looking confused, thinking, what the fuck? It was a funny quote that Nicholas Parsons came out in one of the comic strip episodes called Mr. Jolly Lived Next Door. No, he didn't come out of it. Rick did. He said, what was your favourite slogan? And he came out with, never, ever, ever, bloody anything ever. But my best one, and I think it will work all the time, it gets you out of a lot of shit, is this. Now take this. This is a tip from Zeus. It was like that when I got here. Always remember that one. That gets you out of a lot of shit. Don't know. It was like that when I got here. There you go. No argument. That's the end of that. Thanks very much, 80s Epic Metal Nerd, for those questions. Brilliant. Very, very much enjoyed that. Next question is from Anonymous. And his question is, how is... oh, no, he isn't. Sorry, I'll get on with that in a minute. No, it isn't. That's the right one. How's Snoopy? Well, there he is, my little darling. Snoopy is very, very fine. And he's sat there in my front seat. He's a 4-year-old Labrador. And he's such a beautiful boy. I love him to death. He's my best friend. He's my best friend. I've had him since he was 6 weeks old. And I just fucking love him. I really do. And he's always sat in my car. Whenever I'm popping up to the shop, he's sat in the car and he comes back and he's right by my wheel. It's got quite a few crowds now and then, a few people sniggering at it. You come back and you see 2 or 3 people looking at in my car and you see a dog driving it. You know, he's just sat there in the driver's seat. So it's quite funny, but no, I absolutely love him. Absolutely love him. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah, he's doing very well indeed. Right, next question by Motherhen 2012. Hello, mate. Another one of my old subs. What's the shittiest game you've ever purchased? Not for reviewing purposes. As in, oh, I'll give that a go kind of way. I don't know, mate. I know the shittiest game I've ever come across. I've just done a shit game time of it, and that's Top Banana. But the shittest game you've ever purchased? Actually, yeah, there was one. I bought one for W.H. Smith about 30 years ago, and it was a Danger Mouse game for my Spectrum. I was desperate to get a new game, and I couldn't find any reviews in mags about any good games to get at the time. So I saw this game, and of course I saw the cover, and it was a really good cover. I thought, that looks really good. And I got it home, and it's a fucking adventure game, and I hate adventure games. So I was really gutted. So I had to take it back. As a kid, you know, I had this sort of bullying manager, and you can't do that. You've purchased it now, and you've copied it, and all this crap, and I didn't. But yeah, for that reason, it was shit because I didn't like adventure games. Have you ever purchased a shite game despite it getting shit ratings and reviews? I did that with Final Fight on the C64. You plonker, like I said before. Buying a crap game like that. I even reviewed it in the Shit Game Time. What were you thinking of buying that? Oh, that was a terrible game, mate. Terrible misjudgment. Final Fight on the Commodore 64. Ugh. Have I ever purchased a game a shite game despite the game's giving it a shit rating? No, because I ain't that fucking stupid, mate. Sorry. So I'm not a plonker, all right? Let's have a look. As a question. No, that's it from him. So thanks very much for that question, mate. Oh dear. Final Fight on the Commodore 64. Fucking hell. And that's it, actually, apart from a few anonymous ones. So let's get on with the anonymous ones. These are the ones that just don't want to be, don't wish to be said who they are, which is fair enough. Favourite cartoon? Oh, favourite cartoon is this. The Trapdoor. Fantastic. There's no sound on this because I don't want to get done for any copyright issues. This was my favourite cartoon of all time. And you lot think Wallace and Gromit was original. No, it bloody wasn't. This came out before. I mean, many can argue no Morph was. But he was boring. This was brilliant. It was, all the voices were done by Willie Rushton, a late brilliant Willie Rushton. And Trapdoor Burke, he's basically a guy, a servant, who's looking after this big thing upstairs. You never get to see it. He's always being ordered at to cook food and look after the place in his castle. And he's got two friends there, Boney and Little Dro, supposed to be some kind of spider. And the trouble is, there's this trapdoor, and every day, something crawls out of it and causes Burke all kinds of bloody, all kinds of hell. And yeah, so I've just done a few clips there. There's Boney, and there's Burke, and there's another monster coming out of the thing. It's all done with stop-start animation, plasticine. It's very clever. There's 40 episodes of it. Now that sounds like a lot, but believe me, they're 5 minutes each, and it weren't enough. They're just too good not to have been more. And all these dangers were running after him, and I just loved it. I remember when I first watched it, I've never laughed so much in my life over a cartoon. It was fantastic, and I've got the whole lot on collection. And so that was my favourite cartoon. I had plenty of other favourite cartoons, but this stole the prize. I mean, I like Danger Mouse. You know, Courage the Cowardly Dog, which is an American cartoon. That's brilliant. That was a much later cartoon. That came in my adulthood, but that was a brilliant cartoon. I've got all them episodes. And there's Rog. That's one of the good guys. He comes along, big dozy gorilla. Very funny. He has a few tiffs with Burke now and then. And there's a clip coming up in a minute where Burke, here it is. And there's a little worm. Look at that worm, that snake thing at the left between Burke and Rog. He's moving. It's a very good character. Anyway, Rog's gone up in his lift. Burke's pissed off. The boss upstairs that he's just pointed to is really angry. So he's telling Rog off right now. And he's trying to get him back downstairs where he belongs. So he starts shoveling him. And he hits him, makes the mistake by hitting him just there. And Rog looks at the camera and says, "You know what, that hurt." He looks at Burke and smacks him out the window. It's just a fantastic cartoon. And the one episode that I do remember, which really did have me in stitches, which is a clip coming up now. And it's Burke's got a headache. And he's trying to make some headache medicine right here. And it goes wrong. He's sort of like a Jekyll and the Hyde impression here. He drinks his medicine and eyeball jam. It's just he cracks that open. There's eyeball jam inside. Oh, it's revolting. Some of the things that he has to cook. And he drinks it. He falls down behind the desk and does the very famous movie scene where suddenly he transforms into this fucking hideous version of himself. And it's fantastic. And Boney wants to know where he is. He's like, "It's been a long time." And there, there he comes, and Burke and Boney's thinking, "Shit, I say, what the hell? What? Get away from me!" And so of course Burke's terrorising them. He throws Drut across the room, throws Boney across the room as well, and then he disappears. and then the stuff wears off just here. So it's sort of an intermittent stuff he's got in him. Now he's back to normal. He don't know what's going on. Burke's shouting at him, asking him to help. So Burke races back and says, "What's going on, Boney?" And then you just see that, and that's the thing upstairs. He's just shouting and barking more orders at him. And now Boney's trying to explain a big hideous blue monster's just come and killed, just trying to beat him up. And Burke says, "Oh, I ain't got time for that. I've got to go and serve his dinner upstairs." He goes out, and then he suddenly transforms again right here. There's the hands, look. And then he's back again. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Check that out, The Trapdoor. It's a British cartoon of the 1980s, voiced by the late, great Willie Rushton. I'll just leave this bit running a bit, because I just want to show you this couple of bits here. Drut runs away and accidentally also takes a sip of this stuff that Burke's created, and it changes Drut into this hideous version of himself. And in the meantime, Burke is picking on Boney, spinning him around 100 mile an hour. I can't say enough about this cartoon. It's a fantastic cartoon, and I urge you to go and watch it. But we just finish off with this bit here. I got to see, now it's wearing off quickly. The stuff's wearing off quickly. And he says, "Thank God Boney didn't drink any of that." And he did, because Boney said earlier in the episode he's getting a headache after being thrown across the room. So that's my favourite cartoon of all time, The Trapdoor. Nothing beats that for me. Very, very clever. And I just wish there was a lot more of them. Right, next question. These are, there's only a few. Favourite fighter. Favourite game fighter. No doubt about it. For me, it was Birdie on Street Fighter 1. When I first saw him in Street Fighter 1, I was shocked. It was like, fuck me, this guy's huge. He was portrayed as a huge British white punk rocker. And he was I'll tell you, if you didn't know the special moves, he'd kill you in 2 headbutts. He'd crack his skull open. That's what I loved about Street Fighter 1 more than Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 1, you was on a knife's edge a lot more. Everyone was like a knife's edge, whereas Street Fighter 2 was kind of slow. You know, you could take your time. It just didn't fit. It didn't have that killer instinct. And if you didn't know the special moves, you'd die within seconds. But I was utterly disgusted what they turned him into. He was always supposed to be a white British punk rocker. You can see that from his facial features. But some bright asswipe, who I'd love to bump into at Capcom, decided, let's revamp him. And turned him in the end to, right, if you go right to the end, Street Fighter 5, I don't even acknowledge Birdie outside Street Fighter 1. He's now a big, fat, bloated black guy that eats and throws donuts. How fucking tragic is that? And he's still dressed up as a punk. Now I ask you, how many black guys do you know that are into punk rock? It was a Caucasian movement of the late 70s and early 80s, white British punk rocker. That's how he was supposed to be. They should have kept him that way. It's like hip-hop, rap and all that sort of stuff, that music. Yeah, white people listen to it, but it's made and basically aimed at black people. You know, so I can't understand why. I'd be pissed off if they did it with DJ, the guy out of Super Street Fighter 2. He's a black guy. He's from Jamaica, isn't he? And if they turned him into a Caucasian guy, I'd be saying the same thing. What the fuck are you doing? What'd you do that for? He was always supposed to be a black guy from Jamaica. Why? And they made some bullshit. How are we going to get around this? We'll make up some stupid story. What can we think? Just say he was ill. Yeah, that'll do. He was ill. He had the flu. So he's done a reverse version of Michael Jackson. Unbelievable. Fucking, I'd love to bump into the person who decided to do that. But you can see the guy was fucking huge. He looked awesome. Nobody would play him. It was the fourth country. No, everyone would stay away from him until they learned the special moves, because you just couldn't win against him. He was huge. And I'll show a bit of footage in a second, but it's a PS2 comp. This is actual photos of my arcade machine. The actual arcade, as best as I could do. This is the actual arcade version you'll see now, which runs differently to any emulated version you see on YouTube or compilation pack. The PS2, it came out in Capcom Classic Collection Part Volume 2. I could tell you a lot of differences in that, and you'll see in a second. But the guy he was a mountain. Look at the fucking size of him. He looked awesome. You can tell he's not supposed to be a black guy there. He's a huge British white punk rocker. piss poor excuse to fucking change him. And there he is. Just kicked Ryu in the gut. And I know from that pose, he's just about to do a cracking headbutt, a vicious headbutt. Look at the fucking size. He's a monster. But you never saw characters that big back in the day. You know, you had your double dragons, but they were characters, much smaller characters. And that's when he's finally beat you and cracked your head open, basically. That's the birdie for me. That's the real birdie. After that, it's an imposter birdie. It's not the same guy. It's bullshit what they did to him. I don't want to hear he was ill. That's some fucking bullshit crap. I'll tell you what, some things people think of are ridiculous. Some of these real deep Street Fighter fans, real crazy collector items and collection of memorabilia, when they say things like, this is the best one. Oh, of course, Birdie. Oh, yeah, he was ill. He was never meant to be white. Of course he was. There was never a black guy that was into punk rock. Of course he was supposed to be a white guy. It's a stupid bloody decision Capcom made. But here's the best one. Apparently, Eagle is gay. Who the fuck would think of that one? Who thought that one? Who made that thing up? Oh, it's ridiculous. Some of the stories are just ridiculous. So, no, sadly, that's the birdie for me. Always will be. And there's a bit of footage of him, but this is from the Street Fighter compilation on PS2. As you can see, it's looks different to the photos I've taken, but you can see he's supposed to be a huge British white punk rocker, and he was hard as nails if you didn't know the moves. If you haven't got the arcade machine, then the compilation version's good, is okay, you know, but I can certainly spot a lot of differences. When you see it running on the real machine, a real arcade machine, look at that double headbutt. Here we go. Crack. Bye-bye. And that's what punk rockers do. They headbutt you. Headbutt you. That's what punk rockers do. That's what skinheads do. They punk. See, it's a white Caucasian guy. Birdie, you're the best. Street Fighter 1. After that, may you rest in peace, mate. You don't exist for me. But Street Fighter 1, yeah, that's my favourite beat-em-up character of all time. Right. Next question. Most expensive piece, a collector piece you've got game-wise. That is this. It's a game called Yump. And there it is in full. It's for the Atari 8-bit. I got it for my Atari 800 XL. The actual box. It comes with a Yump pencil. Ooh. It comes with a manual. It comes with the game on tape, cartridge, and 5.25 diskette. That's worth a lot of money. And it cost me quite a bit of money too. So that's my most prized, that's my most expensive thing. And I'll give you a little bit of the footage here. Let's just talk about this a little bit. There's no sound again. I didn't want to include the sound because there's so many bits of footage I've shown. It gives different outputs of volume. So I didn't want to ruin it. So here it is. You're basically a ball. You're guiding it down this tunnel to try and get to the end. And it just looks stunning. It came out in 2007, won the Best Game Award 2007. So it's 10 years old now. I've done a Let's Play of this, but I haven't done a long play of it yet. I'm holding myself off for it. But yeah, this is Yump. And the music is brilliant as well. And when the ball bounces, you're actually in rhyme, in tune with the tune itself. And I think that's very, very clever. I died down. I'm out of practice. I'm not really concentrating. Just wanted to show you a couple of these tunnels. But yeah, it's very cleverly done. Very cleverly done. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not modelled on Trailblazer. Trailblazer was flat and it was a lot faster. This is more kind of casual, yeah, it's groovy, Mr. Cool, let's get through this kind of thing. And different colours as well. There's 21 levels. So level 2 is a red level here. But yeah, Yump for the Atari 8-bit. Didn't come out on any other system. I'd like to have seen the Spectrum 128K version of it. I know it would have been monochrome, but it would have been interesting. Commodore 64, I could imagine that being roughly the same, but not as metallic. It would have been, the colours would have been flatter, I think. The Atari uses a lot more shades in its arsenal as far as its colour banks go. And that's level 2. Quick glimpse at level 3. And then green, just to show you, there's plenty of different colours. So there we go. That's Yump on the 8-bit. Okay. This, what I've paused right here, is a question. What is my most favourite homebrew game? And there it is. Congratulations, Davey Slugmate, who done this game. It's called Dung Darak on the Spectrum, and it's a brilliant game. The idea is you're basically this dung beetle, that big fat thing there, you see, at the bottom. I'm going to the top, right at the bottom. I'm moving this purple poo around. You've got to put it in the burger, and you do that by just moving over it. And when you do it, you get this almighty yeah when you've completed the level. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. But this hippo's been shitting all over the gardens, and you've got to clear it up. There he goes. Yeah, I haven't put any sound on it, but I've long played it. Check it out. And so your little beetle, you start a little top left. You can see him whizzing around. You've got to collect the fruit first, the little fruit. You've got to get the cherries, and then you got to get the purple cherry, whatever they are, plums. Then you got to get the mushrooms to get your size up, because you can't move the shit until you've got full size as an adult. So collecting the purple one. Now I've got a bit bigger now. Get the white mushrooms. One at the top left there. I've got to collect that one. There we go. Collect that one. And now I'm going to get bigger. When I collect this last piece, it will get me into full size so I can start moving the shit. And this is for the ZX Spectrum. This came out a few years ago. It's a wonderful game. My favourite homebrew game. Period. It's just such a great game to play. 20 levels. And I've managed to... it's long played on my channel. And there was a sequel called R-Swipe. The words were modelled after R-Type, but it's called R-Swipe. And the end of game boss is Jimmy Savile, and you've got to destroy him. And any of you that don't know Jimmy Savile, he was a fucking paedophile who's dead now, so fuck him. But yeah, that's my favourite homebrew game. And this, congratulations Richard Langford, mate. This is my favourite PC homebrew game. Now this game, which I was involved in at the very tail end of the development of it, but you're flying this ship across many worlds. You start off in a PC kind of world where you're avoiding tapes, Crash magazine logos, you can get power-ups, and the idea is Sinclair's pissed off you haven't taken his machine seriously. You just want to play games on it. You're not using it for programming in schools. So he's pissed off. He's unleashed loads of games of sprites against you, and you've got to shoot all the way through them, and it's very, very clever. And eventually you get to ZX Spectrum style graphics, which I'll show now. There we go. We're now on the jetpack world. The ultimate play the game world. So this is the jetpack section. And it's just so clever. It's so clever. Yeah, I think it's absolutely a brilliant game. And there's a scramble level there, look. And then you get through that and you'll reach this is Bug Bite, you'll get to a Manic Miner style level. So there's about 13, 14 levels altogether. And Skylab Landing Bay, there we go. It's famous out of Manic Miner. You also get a trapdoor level. There's so much. You get Arkanoid boss levels, Cybernoid boss levels. There's so much going on. There's Willie himself, look. So you can shoot him and kill him. That's 1943 on the Spectrum. That's the go level. As you can see on the bottom right-hand side, it will say go at the bottom there. So it's taken all these classic games and turned it into one big shoot 'em up. It's very, very clever. And thankfully, he took my advice of changing the music on the very last level to Agent X. Oh, look at this, Lead Storm. To Agent X level 3 music on the ZX Spectrum. Because it's a brilliant piece of music, and because of that, I got my name in the end credits. There's Patland level. So you can get your idea. There's so many different parts of the game on your quest to beat Sinclair. And there's the Marauder. You recognise that character out of Cybernoid. He's one of the bosses in this game. Also Doa, who's in Arkanoid 2. On the Spectrum, there he is, and you've got to defeat him. Another very clever idea. So you've got to shoot the ball that hits Doa and eventually defeat him. Horace Goes Skiing, the very final level, All Stars level. Tons of different games in this. Also leads into the trapdoor level. So many odd games are in this one. And yeah, if you can shoot Horace, you can stop the trees moving and make it easier, which I do here somewhere. Let's try and shoot him here somewhere. We just shoot him. No, next fight. Come on, let's get him. Where is he? There he goes. Boom. Now the level stops. And there we go. Here's Sinclair himself, the final game boss, getting angry, bashing his Spectrums around, all the diodes and chips flying at you, trying to kill you. Brilliant idea and very well done. Very well done. Free to download too. And there we go. Richard Langford, he created it. But look what's coming up. Look what's coming up at the bottom. Me. Zeusdaz, Darren Payne. That's my name. And there we go. Because I helped him do a couple of touch-ups on it and advised him on a couple of other issues. So there we go. That's all the questions and answers. Thank you very much for all that. Thanks once again for all of those questions. And thanks again for the 4,000 subs. Over the moon with it. Look, I'm so stoked right now. So I guess the next one's 5,000, but my goal is 10,000, guys. So help me get there. Let's get there together. I really appreciate it. That's all I want. I'm not being greedy. I don't want to, I'd love 1 million. Of course I would. Absolutely. But realistically, I'm never going to get there. I'd like to get to 10,000. We're almost halfway there now, guys. So, yeah, please keep subbing. And, yep, that's me out for this edition. Zeusdaz, the Unemulated Retro Game Channel. Come here for all your unemulated retro game needs. Yeah, it's been great so far, and I hope it gets even better. So with that in mind, I'm going to leave you once again. Yes, I'm going to include the dizzy spiral with some music, so I hope you don't get too whacked out on it. Enjoy it, and until next time, see you at 5,000, I guess. Thank you very much, all of you. Zeus out.